Chad, statistically the best rushing game since you guys have gotten here this past week. But from a coaching perspective, was it the best rushing attack? And if not, where can you get better?
It was the best rushing attack since we've been here. And we can still get better. Better in the sense, for example, and I'm pretty sure he told y'all this, Jaheim White, he was shocked to be in that amount of space one-on-one with a safety that he can make miss in the phone booth literally, and he's done that time and time again since he's been here. And he should have made that guy miss and went for a 96-yard touchdown run. But it was our best game since we've been here. It's a testament to the guys up front, the chemistry they had, and preparation they put in. It's a testament to those running backs as well. I thought they had a great week of practice, simulate game practice reps like they were game like reps.
He has a knack, Jaheim, of pressing the block and being patient and not getting too far out ahead of his blockers.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the last part of that is once he gets out open, making a guy miss.
Yeah, no doubt. And I tell you, it kind of goes both ways. It's tough. He's like in fall camp, he's so fast, and he has the kind of speed that can break contain. And he's done that a lot in fall camp, and it's at times he's broke contain, and it's been not a good run or tackle for loss. But then there's been more times where he's probably broke contain and scored a touchdown. It's like, Coach said, well, I wouldn't show him that if I was you. And you just tell him, just kind of find a line. You don't want to take away his creative ability. Just kind of let him learn through reps and, the result of the play that's happening in fall camp and then throughout practice. And hopefully, as the game, game goes on, he gets more reps, which he's got. He can see a little better, make better decisions. He had a run where he broke contain the other Saturday night, and he was able to explain. He said, Coach, I started, I wanted to hit it in there, and it would have been the right read, but I saw that color, and I thought I can get outside. So when they can see it like that, that's huge, because one thing you don't want to be able to take away with a kid like that is his creative ability to make plays. And so that's one of the better things I've done as a coach is, not allow him to go out there and play scared to do what he's capable of doing.
Eager to get him and Donaldson maybe a little bit on the field at the same time to give you a little triple threat there with Garrett?
That was a plan early on, and CJ got stepped on with his foot, and he was out for a while. But that was a plan. Going into that football game.
Pocket now, I guess.
That's in the hip pocket, and we end up not needing it. We was actually going to try to save it for the second half, but didn't need to.
How much is the chemistry and the trust really in throwing the ball down the field really kind of open things up for the offense?
No, it's huge, man, and it's testament to those guys at receiver. They've been consistently making plays down the field. The O-line and the backs have done a great job, creating a great pocket and keeping Garrett clean, allowing him to sit back in the pocket and go through his progressions. And like I said, those guys done a great job making plays down the field. Not only just the easy catches, but they've also done a great job making contested catches. So that's a huge testament to those guys. And I talked about that early on in the season. Once we kind of, open up the offense a little bit in terms of, being able to pass the ball when we need to pass the ball, it'll keep defenses honest and keep safeties out of the box. And those guys have, since the Houston game, have been consistent doing that.
Utilizing multiple running backs is obviously a common thing, certainly the NFL level, even in college football. But what kind of advantage is it for you to have two running backs that are both clicking now, but very different? Like CJ and Jaheim now are almost polar opposite running backs, with one being smaller and shifty and fast, the other one just being big and muscular. What kind of advantage is that versus just having two really good running backs that maybe are similar? Huge,
man, because it's two different styles of running backs to prepare for. Probably two different styles of backs that you don't really have on the look team versus, at opponent school that they can prepare for. And also the advantage in the sense where both those guys have tremendous ball skills. So when they're at times when they may be on the field at the same time or they're flexed out wide, you got to honor that. Like, you can't just go put a linebacker out there. We'll throw that ball to them because they got the ability to be able to run routes and catch the football. And I tell you where Jaheim's grown huge too, and he did a great job. If you guys saw that, he picked up a blitz the other day. We could leave him on the football field now on third down. It's funny because somebody asked me the other day, he's small. No, he's just short. He's not small. He's 195 pounds, and he's strong. So it's a huge advantage for those guys having the versatility, be able to flex out. It's hard to prepare for it. Both those guys having the ability to be able to hit it up in there and between tackle box, the ability to hit the big one, and also being able to pick up the blitz third down.
I assume you'll be spending some time this week working on Garrett and CJ on their timing and techniques on the short passes.
There ain't no doubt. Those were CJ's 3 negatives in that play. Those 3 passes. And obviously, he, I get on all the time. You're a tight end. You're supposed to catch football. I said, no, coach, I was not a tight end. I was a receiver. So even worse, catch the football. But nah, yeah, they'll definitely work on that. He just got to get his hands ready and inspect it. He was doing a great job chipping. They had some high motor defensive ends that rushed the passer, so he was doing a great job chipping, and he just got to have his hands ready to catch the ball.
And what does that do for you? I mean, as far as other things in the offense.
Say it one more time.
If that's working, if you got that worked out, what does that do for the rest of the offense?
No, man, that's huge. It opens, allows us to be able to do what we thought we could do coming into the season. Be explosive, running the ball, be explosive, catching the football, and makes it hard for us to defend.
Of your offensive line at the beginning of the year, they lived up to what you expected? Better, worse?
Better. I said it from the beginning. The nucleus of this offensive attack was those guys up front, from left tackle to right tackle, and I'm always talking about the chemistry of those guys. Those 5 guys, but it's just chemistry amongst the whole group. We've had some injuries up front, and you got guys like Jaquay Hubbard who's come in, and we hadn't missed a beat. Got guys like Nick Malone who's come in, and we hadn't missed a beat. So the chemistry of those guys up front is huge, and the physicality and the toughness, the relentlessness in which they play with, man, it just trickles throughout the entire offense and makes everybody else play that way. And we're only as good as those guys. We talked about it last week, it being strength on strength versus those guys in terms of physicality and toughness. And those guys went out there and then they dominated, but those guys make us go.
Lines that you've used in the extra offensive line. I think there were a couple snaps at UCF. You might have had every lineman that traveled in there in the formation. Does that get affected much when you have somebody else like Doug Nestor? I know you can use tight ends and things like that to balance it also. How has that process gone through the year, and where did that idea to come from to kind of load up with those guys?
I call those guys orcas. Yeah. Because they're mean, they're tough, physical, and it's a package that Coach Moore comes up with every week. We actually call it Well. Bunch of big guys up front, hard to defend, but we come up with a different package every week. It's called the Well package, and we come up with it every week, and we run the same schemes like run-wise that we typically run in the open field. It's just with that big Well package. But those guys kind of interchangeable. Like we was working some today. Some of the guys were out. We working some different guys in there today. On days like today, Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays, when we got walkthroughs, we spend a lot of times out, with the running backs and the offensive line, working different personnel, different packages. So if somebody goes down, next man up mentality. So, and it's tough. It's tough to prepare for because it's a different package every week. You probably saw one last week. We did one last week for the first time with a little underneath toss package where CJ scored. Try to put Jaheim in the end zone to go score. He outran the blocker. But it's tough to defend. But we interchange the guys on days we walk through, so everybody knows what to do.
So with that jumbo package, Sully Weedman got snaps in place, I guess,
did.
Nestor as part of that. How did he grade out? How did he do on his first extensive action?
I thought he did great. I'm not sure exactly what his grade was, what Coach Moore graded him out as, but he played very physical. In fact, he was responsible for pushing C.J. Donaldson in the end zone. I think it was the first touchdown. But he played very physical. He just got to be consistent. He has ability to go do it. He's shown flashes time and time again. And the other day, I thought he played really well.
Talk about creating ways to use Rodney and what he's done, and also what that has allowed you to do off of him and his constant motion. Yeah,
just like I told you before, him and Jaheim, especially with the ball in the hands. So every week, try to find different ways of getting the ball. And as he continues to grow and mature as a receiver, and he'll get him more. But right now, we just try to be very creative and find different ways to just get him one-on-one and get him in space, and create mismatches with him because he's so dynamic with the ball in his hand.
Defense, what do you see from them?
Athletic, fast, fly around to the football.